world. Welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language. Today on the show, the new SEO rules for 2020. It's no longer about the backlink. Surely not. Facebook says it may quit Europe over ban on sharing data with US. Yeah, a little skeptical on that one. Everything we know so far about Oracle not actually buying TikTok. Social network marketing is booming worldwide. Facebook, Instagram, and Google. Facebook's sad summer continues with a $650 million settlement. Oh me, oh my. And last but not least, Twitter is looking into why its photo preview appears to favor white faces over black faces. Ladies and gentlemen, Marketing as a Foreign Language begins right this very second. Yeah, we're streaming 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every single day, Monday through Friday. And by every day, I mean work day. Go ahead, leave us a comment. I will read your comments at the end if there are any comments and or questions. We start with Forbes.com. All links to all articles are right there in the description. The new SEO rules for 2020 is no longer about the backlinks. This is from Jonathan Maxim. SEO, he writes, is one of those things that no one wants to do. Tell me about it. It requires patience, a lot of money, and unmatched creativity. I don't know about the a lot of money part. All things that are tough to come by in today's society. SEO is the smart person's game. Oh my gosh, these initial paragraphs are always terrible. Moving right along, backlinks are out, dynamic content is in. Google's search team realized a lot of people were using shady SEO tactics and building tons of backlinks from huge websites. So it fought back. You'd think a backlink from Forbes, one of the most trafficked sites in the world, would shoot you to the top of the rankings, but it does not. Yeah, it doesn't. That's true. Google now ranks sites by category, and news outlets, among others, have lost tons of SEO credibility and rank ability. Now Google's algorithm focuses more on richness of your content, much like Instagram. This means the worth, depth, and differentiation of your content and are more important than the sites that link to you. Things like the use of images with alt tags, visual aesthetics, and depth of writing are all measured by the algorithm and can set you apart. I would also argue that whether or not someone comes to the website, whether they continue to come to the website, whether they stay for long periods of time on the website, even though Google has said that that is so easily spammable that they don't consider it, I wonder if there are some metrics within the Google algorithm that they do consider if other metrics are also met, which is to say that if you have a return visitor coming to your website for a specific keyword from Google, and that person, let's say, clicks on a video, watches it for a while, and then goes to another page, and their total amount of time on, let's say, 5 pages is really high, like 15 minutes, I wonder if that is a factor. Even though Google has explicitly said that time on site is not a factor, one could argue that coming to the website from a Google search with a specific keyword would be one of those factors. Number 2, SEO never goes away. As ad platforms rise in cost, SEO continues to be the backbone. Don't underrate the value of having an SEO presence. Yeah, I think that if you are in dire straits and you're really hurting and you are trying to keep your business alive and you don't have rankings, I would not focus on SEO. I really don't think that's the right move for you. If your business is going well, if you don't have a great social media presence, you aren't blogging, and you rank in like the 50s, 60s, that sort of thing, SEO is pretty good for you. If you're in the top 10 and you don't have a blog, say, and the keyword has decent search volume, then yeah, SEO is great for you. So we talk to all kinds of clients all over the place. I don't own an SEO company. I want to be clear about that. I own an internet marketing company. So when people come to us, they many times will think that we're an SEO company or we're this or that or whatever. And then they realize that, no, we are a how do we turn $1 into $2 company. That's the point. And if we turn $1 into $0, well, then obviously we shouldn't be working with you, which is why we only do month-to-month contracts. Year-long contracts to me have always seemed like an incredibly stupidly one-sided deal. A lot of companies make the argument, oh, well, we can't really give you the resources you need unless we do a year-long contract. And to that, I say, yeah, it still sounds like a ripoff to me. I don't think year-long contracts are necessary in the world of advertising. It would be like hiring someone and saying, hi, it's your first day. You don't know me. I don't know you. And we're just going to do a year, like with an employee. Because sit down and do our social media for a year. And let's say you completely stop doing what you said you were going to do and you do a terrible job. You're going to have to like get me out of my contract with this employee. It's ridiculous. Truly ridiculous. Back to the article. Find and leverage trending content. The best way to develop SEO content is by using Google's keyword tool to find high volume, low competition keywords. If you're unfamiliar with Google Keyword Planner, that's something that you can check out if you have a Google Ads account, which you might want to go do. The article continues, evergreen keyword targets. An evergreen keyword target example would be like fix leaky faucet if you're a plumber. Like it's never going away. Here he mentions ego bait. Content creation that includes information provided by your target audience can be extremely valuable. And if they have put in a little effort to be part of the article, then there is a much higher chance that they'll share the article. So like having someone on your podcast would be a good example of that. Okay, so I give this article a 3 out of 10. It's better than that, 4 out of 10. Facebook says it may quit Europe over ban on sharing data with the US. That feels like a misleading headline. EU court in July ruled there were insufficient safeguards against snooping by U.S. intelligence agencies. This from TheGuardian.com. Alex Hearn is the author. Facebook has warned that it may pull out of Europe if the Irish Data Protection Commissioner enforces a ban on sharing data with the U.S. after a landmark ruling by the European Court of Justice found in July that there were insufficient safeguards against snooping by U.S. intelligence agencies. I am telling you, this sale of TikTok is resonating around the globe. Like, I don't know if it's like caused specifically by TikTok or what the reasons, the particular reasons are, but here we've got China saying, no, we will not allow foreign apps into our country. That's always seemed a little bit xenophobic, in my opinion. But then you've got the United States saying, no, we don't like that TikTok can take data from like military, so we'll ban it in the military. And then, no, we're going to ban it nationwide. And then in Australia, you've got the local government saying, no, you need to pay, and talking about Facebook, hey, Facebook, you need to pay our local news publishers. And now you have a ruling coming out of Europe that says that we are concerned that U.S. intelligence agencies can snoop, which is exactly what we were talking about with the Chinese Communist Party with TikTok. In a court filing in Dublin, Facebook's Associate General Counsel wrote that enforcing the ban would leave the company unable to operate. Quote, in the event that Facebook were subject to a complete suspension of the transfer of users' data to the U.S., Yvonne Kinane argued, quote, it is not clear how in those circumstances it could continue to provide the Facebook and Instagram services in the EU. Ooh, so is this part of a ploy? Perhaps ploy is not the right word. Is this part of a strategy in Europe to try to have Europe create its own Facebook? Perhaps there are companies, because really at the end of the day, the platform itself is only a percentage of the overall battle. We're talking about the users. You know what I mean? You get enough users in a platform. China has proven this. It's not that Google is the most spectacular thing that's ever been created. There's Baidu in China. The technology is ubiquitous enough at this point that any country and any market with a decent vacuum of space can just fill that space, which is to say if Facebook went away, there would be 30 other companies vying for that space instantly. So is this part of a European plan to replace Facebook? Perhaps this is part of it. Or is it also a move wherein the government is seriously concerned about the transfer of data, similarly to how the United States government was concerned about the transfer of data to the Chinese Communist Party? Facebook denied Back to the article, the filing was a threat, arguing in a statement that it was a simple reflection of reality. Facebook is not threatening to withdraw from Europe, a spokesperson said. Legal documents filed with the Irish High Court set out the simple reality that Facebook and many other businesses, organizations, and services rely on data transfers between the EU and the US in order to operate their services. A lack of safe, secure, and legal international data transfers would damage the economy and hamper the growth of data-driven businesses. So what's this quote here? Who says this? A spokesperson said Facebook is not threatening to withdraw from Europe. Facebook denied the filing was a threat. So I think this is something that we got to keep our finger on the pulse of. More on this as it develops. Let's see, ARStechnica.com with the following article. Kate Cox is the author. Everything we know so far about Oracle not actually buying TikTok. It was a weird weekend to end a weird summer for one of the country's most popular social media apps, TikTok. First in August, the Trump administration threatened to ban. We know this. Last weekend, one-time dark horse Oracle emerged victorious in federally mandating to acquire TikTok, except apparently it turns out Oracle isn't actually acquiring TikTok at all, and Oracle and TikTok's current parent company, ByteDance, disagree on who is going to be in charge. Really? I was under the impression that Oracle/Walmart was moving forward. So if you're confused, you're in good company. I am confused. Here's our attempt to lay out everything we know about TikTok, Oracle, and their mysterious deal so far. I thought it was a done deal. So what is TikTok? Who owns it? Okay, we know that. Why is TikTok being banned? We know that. Why is TikTok not banned now? Before issuing the executive order, Trump in early August issued a personal ultimatum to TikTok requiring it to find a U.S. buyer or else face a ban. The second executive order, issued August 14th, determined retroactively that ByteDance should never have been able to acquire Musical.ly in the first place and demanded TikTok be spun back off to a U.S. owner. Microsoft had since early August been in talks to acquire part or all of TikTok's operations. Oracle and Walmart both entered the race later that month. Late on September 13th, the Wall Street Journal was first to announce that Oracle, headed by Trump supporter Larry Ellison, won out in the end. So did Oracle actually buy TikTok? Oracle did not buy and is not buying TikTok, but is investing in the company. Right. And we know that they're leasing TikTok for the time being. The transaction, as we currently understand it, has ByteDance spinning off TikTok operations in the United States and most other nations to a new company, TikTok Global. Oracle will hold a 12.5% stake in TikTok Global at its inception and will also serve as the cloud hosting provider for the new entity. Walmart, we knew this as well, will hold another 7.5% stake. The remaining 80% will be held by ByteDance. The new company also plans to launch an initial public offering of stock before the end of 2021. Ooh, that is something I might be interested in. What other conditions are there in the deal? Oracle and Walmart promised the TikTok Global investment would bring 25,000 jobs to the United States, which Trump now seems to be saying will be based in Texas. The president also first said in August he wanted the Treasury to get a big cut of the deal. So, will TikTok be owned by China or the U.S.? About 40% of ByteDance itself is held by U.S. investors. Supporters of the deal claim that ownership would therefore translate to about 53% of TikTok Global being held by U.S. investors, thus giving the U.S. majority control. Wow. ByteDance, however, does not see it that way. Crazy. Crazy stuff. Wow. Okay. All right. We will keep our finger on the pulse of that as well. Next article, the Daily Chronicle, social network marketing market. The marketing market is booming worldwide. Facebook, Instagram, and Google. Singh Babul is the author of this one. This global social networking network marketing market report offers a detailed view of the market opportunities by end user segments. Blah, 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 blah. So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say I don't like this article. Farewell article. Next article, Facebook's sad summer continues with a $650 million settlement. This is from Vox.com. Sarah Morrison writes, the company will pay Illinois users between $200 and $400 over claims that it violated the state's facial recognition law. Ooh. Oh me, oh my. Facebook has agreed to pay $650 million. I'll take one of those million, just one, to settle a years-long class action lawsuit over its use of facial recognition in what continues to be a less than great summer for the social media company. The lawsuit is over Facebook's photo tagging feature, which used facial recognition software to identify faces in users' photos. The state of Illinois, however, has a law against businesses collecting biometric data, which includes facial recognition without first obtaining consent. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you really wanted to hurt Facebook, all you'd really have to do is get every state, every country to set up a law that is against the collection of biometric data without consent. Obviously, Facebook would create the option to provide consent for that. Wow. Illinois argued that Facebook didn't get that consent before enabling the new feature by default to its millions of Illinois users and sued the company in 2015. Wow. Facebook has denied it did anything wrong, but it tried to settle the suit for $550 million in January. That offer was rejected for not being enough. As NPR reported, the $550 million figure would result in payouts of just $150 to $300 per person. Facebook could have been on the hook for $47 billion if it lost the suit and affected users got the full payment of $5,000 per person allowed by the law. Wow, it's $550 million, the judge said in a June 4th hearing. According to court documents obtained by Recode, that's a lot, but the question is it really a lot? He continued. That is a significant reduction from the $1,000 that the Illinois legislation set as the baseline. The Illinois legislature has set this privacy expectation and privacy right as a serious one, and they put a high price tag on it for that very reason. So Facebook has now added an additional $100 million, according to court documents. That will net each affected user $200 to $400 each. The settlement was agreed to by both sides of the suit, but has yet to be approved by a judge. Wow. Interesting times we live in. Am I really that upset that my face is being used for facial recognition on Facebook? Perhaps I should be more upset than I am. Perhaps there will come a time when being able to parse someone's face data, I mean literally Facebook, right? Parse somebody's face data could result in them finding your address and coming to your house and harassing you or other horrible, violent things. That obviously would be something that I am against. This whole idea of privacy and consent feels a lot to me like the terms and conditions that we all just agree to. So even if they do ask for consent, they're not, look, it's not going to be like you log into Facebook and there's this huge box that says, we would like to basically understand the pixels that make up your face so that we can use it to send you push notifications when a friend of yours is online or tags you in a photo. It's not going to say that. You're going to go to Facebook. There's going to be 17,000 words that are not, you can't even read them, the text is so small. And it's going to say somewhere in subsection 12B that the data derived from the characteristics of one's visage can be used pertaining to marketing and or data-driven technologies required for Facebook to integrate the aforementioned technology. You see what I'm saying? So even if you're getting consent, really at the end of the day, you're just getting someone to click on a box to continue to use Facebook. Now, what I would be for is actual transparency, which would be people go to the platform and it's obvious what they're talking about. If they say, hey, look, we would like to track your face data. Here's all the amazing things we can do if you allow us this permission to do that. That would be the right way of doing it. But obviously, this is not the way that the world works. So, should they get hit for this? I don't know. I don't think I know enough about it personally, the nuances of it, but it does appear to me that they violated a law given the very little information that I have in front of me. And yeah, they're going to pay $650 million. So that's a nice house. I can't even imagine a house that's $650 million. That would be that pretty. What was that, like 722 million square feet? Twitter is looking into why its photo preview appears to favor white faces over black faces. This is from TheVerge.com. Kim Lyons is the author. Users discovered the problem, with the neural network that crops photo previews. So this algorithmic bias is an extension of majority privilege, which is, if you give a machine access to all photos, and let's say in the United States, the African-American population is 13%, you're going to end up with these machine learning biases unless you account for them. So let's see what happens here with Twitter. Twitter was looking into why the neural network it uses to generate photo previews apparently chooses to show white people's faces more frequently than black faces. Several Twitter users demonstrated the issue over the weekend, posting examples of posts that had a black person's face and a white person's face. Twitter's preview showed the white faces more often. Which will the Twitter algorithm pick, Mitch McConnell or Barack Obama? Mitch McConnell it is. The informal testing began after a Twitter user tried to post about a problem he noticed in Zoom's facial recognition, which was not showing the face of a black colleague on calls. When he posted to Twitter, he noticed it too was favoring his white face over his black colleague's face. This is Colin Madland. On September 18th, he writes, a faculty member has been asking how to stop Zoom from removing his head when he uses a virtual background. We suggested the usual plain background technique, good lighting, etc., but it didn't work. I was in a meeting with him today when I realized why it wasn't. This, of course, is because he's black. Users discovered the preview algorithm chose non-black cartoon characters as well, which is odd because you've got like a yellow Simpsons character showing up. When Twitter first began using the neural network to automatically crop photo previews, machine learning researchers explained in a blog post how they started with facial recognition to crop images, but found it lacking, mainly because not all images have faces. Previously, we used face detection, this is from Twitter, to focus the view on the most prominent face we could find. While this is not an unreasonable heuristic, the approach has obvious limitations since not all images contain faces. Additionally, our face detector often missed faces and sometimes mistakenly detected faces when there were none. So in Twitter's defense, I will say that this is so beyond my pay grade that I wouldn't even know where to start to solve this kind of problem. That being said, I understand that it's a problem. I just wouldn't even know how to begin to even start solving this problem. Technologically speaking. So what I'm saying is the nuance of why it picks a white face over a black face is beyond my technological understanding. I am assuming that it is because the majority of faces that the machine learning is looking at are white faces, and that's why we're getting this glitch, which should be solved. Twitter Chief Design Officer Daintley Davis tweeted that the company was investigating the neural network as he conducted some unscientific experiments with images. So here's Daintley. Here's another example of what I've experimented with. It's not a scientific test. It's an isolated example, so it's anecdotal, but it points to some variables we need to look into. Both men now have the same suits, and I covered their hands. So not sure what we're seeing here, but it's an image of a black man in a suit. Liz Kelly of the Twitter communications team tweeted Sunday that the company had tested for bias but hadn't found evidence of racial or gender bias in its testing. Okay, so Liz Kelly of Twitter communications said that they tested it and they haven't found evidence of it. Okay. Quote, it's clear that we've got more analysis to do. Right. We'll open source our work so others can review and replicate. That right there is a brilliant response from Twitter. I really do think that's probably because we always talk about transparency, and I think Twitter's saying, look, this is incredibly technologically complicated and difficult to solve. Therefore, we'll open source it. All right, everyone take a look. If you think you can solve this problem, you go right ahead. I think that is probably the best path forward to addressing this problem. Twitter Chief Technology Officer Parag Agrawal tweeted that the model needed continuous improvement, which is true, adding he was eager to learn from the experience. I would be too. Parag writes, this is a very important question. To address it, we did analysis on our model when we shipped it, but needs continuous improvement. Love this public, open, and rigorous test and eager to learn from this. I am 100% down with what Parag is saying. I think that is absolutely the move. So yeah, we have a problem. If I were on a Zoom call and my head just was disappearing, yeah, I wouldn't be happy about that. If I'm on Twitter and the preview of my face doesn't show up and someone else's does, it's a problem. It should get solved. That being said, I think it's a really difficult problem. So I think Twitter did a good job here going open source and just letting the community take a shot at it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kellen Kautzman. I happen to own Send It Rising Internet Marketing. If you want to join us for the live show, we're here at 10:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, Pacific Standard Time. Just swing on to YouTube, type in Send It Rising or Marketing as a Foreign Language, hit the subscribe button, boom, get the live notifications, and there you are. Ask me any questions you want, and I will answer them on the show. Big thank you to everyone hitting the like button. Big thank you to everyone who's not here for the live show, but checks it out later. The YouTube numbers are growing. The number of podcast downloads are growing, and I very much appreciate it. Yeah, let's summarize. So the new SEO rules for 2020, it's no longer about the backlinks. I would argue that that's true to a large extent. If you get a backlink from the homepage of whitehouse.gov, yeah, that's going to have a huge impact, but good luck getting that. It is really about high quality content, and I would argue that it's about video and going live and doing what I am attempting to show and not tell, which is have a show. Be on podcasts. It's an audio video medium nowadays. So really pushing that forward is very important. Facebook says it may quit Europe over a ban on sharing data with US. I think that's a misleading headline. I don't think they're going to quit, but I do think that this back and forth between governments regarding privacy and important data, let's say, is not going to slow down any time soon. Oracle not actually buying TikTok. Yeah, we know that they're leasing the platform. Apparently, there will be a 53% stake if you include the US stakeholders alongside Walmart and Oracle's purchase of TikTok. And they're not actually purchasing it. They're leasing it. We'll see. Especially with the election coming up in November, this is a very volatile negotiation. To be sure, Facebook, $650 million settlement to the folks of Illinois, receiving anywhere from $200 to $400 for the use of facial recognition software. They should ask for permission, but they did not. And last but not least, there is something to algorithmic bias when it comes to machine learning, which is an extension of majority privilege. And in regards to the quantity of faces that look similar, you could say, within any given population. Again, I would be upset if I were in a Zoom call and anyone on my call did not show up properly, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Twitter, and their idea to open source everything makes a heck of a lot of sense to me. Hopefully they will solve this problem. Ladies and gentlemen, Esther Sass, thank you for writing OMG. Good stuff. Thank you, everyone, for hitting the like button, for all the love. We appreciate it. We'll see y'all next time, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You know where to find us. And that is that. See you tomorrow.